This is Manhattan's Lower East Side. And it's the neighborhood where my great-grandparents settled when they emigrated from Greece nearly 100 years ago. It's where they lived, worked, and prayed as part of a very unique community. But growing up, I barely knew anything about this. Not until it was almost gone.
So they ask us, where do you come from, etc. And I say, I'm a Greek Jew. What? Greek Jew, you sure? Yes. Not only that, I'm a Romaniote Jew. What is a Romaniote Jew?
It's a good question. I didn't even know the answer, and I am Romaniote. Now, when most people think of the Jewish Lower East Side, they immediately think of the Ashkenazi Jews, or Jews from Eastern Europe. But there was another culture here, a community of Jews from Greece, with very distinctive customs and traditions. Now, growing up as a kid on Long Island, the truth is, I really didn't know too much about this. Until I recently saw this article in the New York Times about this Greek synagogue on Broome Street. And I thought, this has got to be the place my family's always talked about. And so I decided it was time for my dad and me to pay a visit to his old neighborhood.
I haven't been down here in a long time. It's got to be 40 years almost that I've been down here.
So how come you didn't come back sooner?
Well, we moved to Brooklyn. Left the neighborhood. It was too far, I guess. These were parks, I remember them. This is a building right over here, 281 Broome, that's where I live. I was born there. This is a building right over here where my grandmother lived. This was a temple where I got bar mitzvah. My grandmother and grandfather were very active in this temple. It hasn't changed much. 50 years, wow.
Listen, how do you feel about being back here, though? Look at this. How do you feel about being
Πόσα χρόνια δεν ήσαν εδώ?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Πολλά χρόνια.
Πολλά χρόνια.
Where did you sit when you were a child? Where did you sit
Oh
here?
God, I don't remember.
Take a moment.
He doesn't remember being a child.
And so this is the last Greek synagogue that's...
This is the only Romaniote temple left in all of the Western Hemisphere. People would think of us as Sephardic Jews, but in reality, we are Romaniote Jews. We are Greek-speaking Jews from the Roman Byzantine Empire. We go back into Greece 300 BCE.
And in fact, these are the oldest communities of Jews in Europe, mainly settling in Greece during the Alexandrian period.
They're not Sephardim. They were Greek-speaking Hellenized Jews that date their ancestry back to pre-Christian period in the Mediterranean, and developed a culture, a language, a minhag, a liturgy that reflected the influences of the Greek culture.
The tunes are different. Some of the way the pieces are read from the scriptures are different. They're not read in the same way from Ashkenazi or Sephardim. We also have special poetry called piyutim that were written by Greek Jews, Romaniote Jews.
Hathos
Generally, when one mentions Greek Jews, people assume when speaking of the Sephardic Jews of Thessaloniki, but that group, a large group, did not come to Greece until the 1490s, which makes them relative newcomers to Greece, whereas Romaniote had been in Greece since pagan times. Why are they called Romaniote? They were citizens of the Eastern Roman Empire, what we call the Byzantine Empire, and people in that empire considered themselves Roman. The Jews that were in that category are called Romaniote.
I found out the other thing that separates us from the main branches of Judaism is the synagogues, which were built differently. The bima and the ark, where we keep the Torahs, are separate, and the benches face one another so that the men can touch and kiss the Torah as it passes them in the aisle. And then there are the Torahs themselves, in wooden cases called tiks, which are also different.
And you can see how old it is.
And then there's the Greek language.
Not only is it a Greek language, but there's a Greek Judeo language. And it's a mix of Greek, Hebrew, and Turkish.
They did not speak Ladino, they did not speak Yiddish, and in religious services, they often wrote the Greek language in Hebrew letters.
One of the most interesting expressions was "Ishallah nasasrisko to talith," using not only Hebrew and not only Greek, but also Turkish or Arabic, Ishallah. Basically translated, it meant, may God allow me to see you wrapped in the talith. In other words, meaning, I hope I live long enough to see you get married.
We also have these special birth certificates called olives, which are also genealogy charts. They contain elements of Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism and are unique to the Romaniote community.
Oh, my.
It's not in perfect shape.
Oh, it's pretty good, though. Whose is this? January 3rd, 1939.
It's my father's birthday.
Wow. It's quite large.
So this is obviously my father's My father's Aleph.
Yes, his birth certificate. I don't think you have one, do you? Do you have yours?
No.
This is a tradition that has died.
Yeah. So this would be basically like the last
Yeah,
generation.
this would be. Your father's generation is probably the last.
So this over here is
Which one are you looking at?
Kiker, Kalef, Aron.
This is Caleb Aaron Ashkenazi.
Right.
That is an Ashkenazi.
That's my great grandfather.
Caleb. That
I mean,
could
it would be right here.
Right.
This is his brother.
And it is. I'll tell
It's
you
his
why.
brother,
I'll
right.
tell you why it is.
Why?
Your grandfather was named Caleb.
Right.
His father was Aaron.
Aron.
Right.
And he had a son he named after his father, Eddie, which
Eddie.
is your grandfather and your
My
father.
father, right.
So that's your grandfather, definitely. No question about it.
Right.
And that's your grandmother.
That's my grandma.
Unfortunately, you never knew your great grandmother.
I did.
You did know her somewhat? Well, she was a beautiful woman, believe me. She really was what we call an Eshet Chayil, which is a woman of valor. Whenever you needed something, Kalefina was there.
And this is where they sat. Your great grandfather, my father,
Sat here.
his brothers,
They sat here.
right in this little area here. When you came in, you knew. There was no question about where anyone was going to sit.
It was already sort of.
You know, well, on high holidays, it got a little sticky, you know.
Yeah, of course.
If you didn't get it early, you stood.
You stood. There isn't that much seating. Nope.
Well, it was enough when they came. But then as they had children and more children,
Yeah.
and here's the fourth generation.
That's right.
That's right.
There was a large influx of immigration amongst Greek Jews at the beginning of the 20th century. 1905, 1907, up until 1912, 1913. That was the main period of immigration. Economy was one of the main reasons. The promise of a better life. The same reasons that immigrants have always come to this country. And why did they come to the Lower East Side? The same reason Jews always go anywhere. They went because there were people they knew already who had been there.
If you could bring one thing back from those years, what would you bring back? One thing, not everything.
Family unity.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Family unity.
That's it.
Why do you say that? Why?
Because that's what it is.
You know
If you have a family unit, you got everything. If you don't have family unit, you don't have nothing, my friend.
Because today,
And they did have that time. That time they did have family units.
See, today your brothers and sisters, they live thousands of miles apart.
I don't see my own children, Murray.
That's right.
One guy lives in Delaware, the other guy's in Virginia, one guy in New Hampshire.
That's right.
We had very little, but we had a lot. Closeness, companionship, and if you needed anything, there was always somebody there to help you. Nobody was alone, period.
I remember as a child, the whole community was in this area within a few blocks. Doors were kept open. One family walked into the other apartment, and we were part of each other's family.
We lived in tenement apartments. They were walk-up apartments. There were 4 or 5 levels. I lived on the 4th floor. The Menachems lived next door to us, and Manatheas opposite, Negrins opposite. So the whole building was people we knew, you know. As you're walking up the building, you know, you pass the second floor, you stop in and say, how are you, you know, how you feeling? You go to the next floor, if the door was open, stick your head in and say hello. Half of them were related to us. If they weren't related, my parents knew their parents from the old country and so on. So it was really a close knit, and that's what makes this whole thing so unique, you know.
You had friends and family, and everybody lived there, and we had a great time. Everybody, you know, shared and lived together. It was like one big family, the whole area. We had a whole block. I mean, if you were from Broome and Allen, you knew everybody on Broome and Allen Street.
My grandparents lived in the next buildings, and my aunts lived in the next buildings. The family was all within a 5 or 6 block radius, you know. It's something you don't have today.
When we think of those Lower East Side communities and other ethnic communities in the United States, it was only 100 years ago. How quickly all that has vanished, that within 1 or 2 generations the communities begin to break up. And that's just the way things work out in America. People actually move to an American identity. They personally are doing fine, but there is a tragic loss of the old culture. And that's just one of those ironies of America.
After World War II, the neighborhood began to change. Families left, and the community started to drift apart. But as they moved away, they soon found a way to come back together. The Pashas is a group consisting mostly of Greek Jews from the Lower East Side, who still have these amazing reunions. I had heard about this group for years from my parents and grandparents, but actually I just attended my first reunion with them. It was this incredible experience for me. I met family that I didn't even know existed. Everyone there knows one another. Everyone there grew up together. It was like being at a wedding for 3 days in a row. Pretty amazing. So you've basically lived on the East Side your whole life?
All of my life. Yeah, unless if you call 11th Street uptown.
And so, is there a rabbi here?
No, we do not have a rabbi here.
So how long have you been leading services?
Well, let's see. Let us say a minimum of 35 years.
When I came here as a child in the late 40s into the early 50s, the Sabbath services were literally full. There would be somewhere between 150 to 200 people. And if there was a bar mitzvah, this would be overwhelmingly mobbed. So it was a full house.
What about now?
Now, well, that's quite a different story for now. Yesterday I was here for the Sabbath service, and Hai was pretty happy. Hai Jani was pretty happy because we had 15 men. Usually if we get 10 men or so for the minyan, and sometimes more women than men.
On a Shabbos service?
On a Saturday service, yes, on a Saturday service.
Well, there's no question about that. The synagogue, somewhere along the line, will close up as a synagogue. How much more time we have, I couldn't tell you. God didn't give me an answer yet, so I don't know. I always use the analogy that Moses died and Joshua was there to pick up the pieces from Moses. So when I go, I'm sure somewhere along, somehow, somewhere, the synagogue will survive.
What's really, really nice to see right now, the community is revitalizing itself in many fascinating and interesting ways.
I'm glad you came in to join us.
One of the great things that I've noticed in the last several years is an influx of younger people, people in their 40s really taking an active role, learning a lot about what their grandparents did, involving their children. And you actually see a lot of people becoming more and more interested in their roots. People who actually discovered their Greek Jewish roots, from people who didn't even know that they had some, to other people who just are really interested in Greek Judaism. So that's a really, really good thing, and that's something I'm very happy to see.
My mother is Romaniote. My father is Ashkenazi. I mean, the truth is, growing up, I'd never even heard the word Romaniote. And I have made a decision in my adult life to pursue from kind of a cultural and study and just be active in the synagogue. I mean, the truth is, we're a very, very small community. But the good thing is, the great thing, in fact, is that there's really been a resurgence of activity around both the museum as well as the synagogue. And frankly, from what I understand 5 years ago, I'm not so sure that's the same picture. There really wasn't a generation of, say, 30-something, 40-something, even 50-somethings, people that were trying to build a future and hold on to our traditions. And with the resurgence of the people and more people being active, we really think that there is going to be a future.
How you doing? You know my wife, Eva?
Since getting involved with this community, I've been trying to come for services. especially since I know they need men on Saturday mornings. It's hard right now, since I currently don't live in New York. But when I'm in town, I try to come. Sometimes people ask me, "What's your background?" I tell them, I am a Greek Jew. I am a Romaniote.
Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.